The Archon research station floated quietly in orbit around a blue-white star, its metal surface shining like a polished mirror. Most days, the station followed a calm routine. Scientists ran experiments, engineers repaired aging equipment, and visiting diplomats admired the impressive mix of species living together in peace. But today was different. Today, something very dangerous was moving inside the station's walls. At first, no one noticed anything unusual. The early morning shift had only just started, and the corridors still felt sleepy and quiet. But deep in the lower levels, behind thick security doors and countless warning signs, the creature known as the Growlthune opened one huge yellow eye. The Growlthune was not like any ordinary animal. It was known across 3 star sectors as the most dangerous living being ever captured. It had scales strong enough to resist plasma fire, claws that could cut through armored doors, and a roar powerful enough to send shockwaves through entire caves on its home planet. Even the bravest soldiers refused to face it without strong backup. And yet, inside its containment chamber, something had changed. A soft click echoed through the darkness. A second click followed. A faint humming noise grew louder. The Growlthune lifted its massive head. The electric field around its enclosure flickered like a dying light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, in a sharp flash, the entire containment shield went dark. The beast did not roar. It did not break anything. Instead, it quietly walked forward, touched the metal door with one claw, and pushed. The door swung open. Up in the control room, Technician Loro was drinking his morning tea when the first alarm appeared on his screen. His long, feathered ears twitched in surprise. "Containment shield offline," he whispered. "That cannot be right." The warning symbol flashed again, red, bright, urgent. Then a second alarm joined it. "Containment breach detected." Loro's wings snapped open in panic. He slammed the emergency button and shouted, "Security! We have a situation in Sector Epsilon. The Growlthune containment has failed." Within seconds, the entire station shook with blaring alarms. Red lights spun in every corridor, waking hundreds of scientists from their sleep. Doors locked automatically. Safety fields lit up. Robots hurried to their emergency stations. Commander Vale was already running before the second alarm finished sounding. He was tall, calm, and known for never losing control. But even he felt a chill in his spine. Not because of the danger he expected danger in his job, but because the Growlthune was loose. And the station had guests today. Important ones, including human diplomat families with small children. When Vale reached the security hub, his officers were already studying the screens. "Talk to me," he ordered. Officer Jiren pointed at a display. "Sir, cameras in the containment hall show the creature is gone. Door is open. But there is something strange." Vale frowned. "Strange how?" Jiren replayed footage. The entire room had been wrecked. Metal bars bent. Restraints snapped. Control panels crushed. That part was expected. The Growlthune could break almost anything when it wanted to. But the path leading out looked odd. No scorch marks, no shredded walls, no signs of a violent escape. Instead, the creature had simply walked out, calm as a resting lake. "That's unusual," Vale whispered. "It never moves calmly," another officer shouted. "Commander!" Motion sensors detect traces heading toward Habitat Ring B. Undernade. Vale froze. "The family wing?" "Yes, sir." A swirl of fear rose in the room. Habitat Ring B held living quarters, gardens, and the playrooms used by visiting families. It was not built to face a creature that could tear open starship hulls. "Move," Vale ordered. "Teams Alpha and Beta, follow me. We need eyes on the creature before it finds anyone." The security teams raced down the corridors, boots pounding on metal floors. Automated drones flew overhead, their sensors sweeping every corner. The alarms continued to echo through the station, reminding everyone of the danger. When they reached the habitat ring, Vale gave a hand signal. His team spread out, forming a careful perimeter. The usually peaceful hallway looked almost too quiet, no talking, no footsteps, no sounds of families preparing breakfast. Every door had sealed shut the moment the alarms activated. Just then, Officer Lyra crouched beside the floor. "Sir, look at this." Vale stepped closer. On the ground, leading down the corridor, was a trail of small sticky marks. Some round, some smudged, some clearly shaped like little fingers. "Are those," Vale blinked, "toddler fingerprints?" No creature, not even the Gralthun, had toddler fingerprints. The implication made no sense. Lyra continued inspecting. "There's more. These soft dents. They look like the creature's foot pattern. But not heavy. Very light, as if it was walking carefully." Vale had seen the Gralthun walk before. It was never gentle. It walked like a living mountain, shaking the earth below it. But here, the floor barely showed signs of pressure. He looked at his officers. Why would the deadliest creature in the galaxy walk carefully? No one had an answer. The trail continued toward the Botanical Dome, a peaceful indoor forest used by residents for relaxation. Vale felt a twist of anxiety. That dome was an open space, too many hiding spots, too many soft corners, and no armored walls. When the team approached the dome entrance, a security drone floated back, flashing green. "Drone reports visual contact," Officer Jiren said. "Of the creature?" Vale asked. "Yes, sir. But there is something else." Vale stared at him. "Something else?" Jiren swallowed. "You need to see it yourself, Commander." They stepped into the dome. Light filtered down from the artificial sky panels. The air smelled of leaves and fresh soil. A small stream flowed between bright flowers and winding paths. It should have been a place of peace, but in the center clearing stood the Gralthun. The massive creature's dark scales shimmered like obsidian. Its long tail coiled on the grass. Its thick limbs rested calmly beneath its heavy body. It looked far less terrifying than the legends claimed, more like a giant sleeping guardian than a rampaging monster. Yet the strangest part was not the creature itself. It was what sat on its back. A tiny human toddler, barely walking age, was perched comfortably between the creature's spiny ridges. The child let out a happy giggle, patting the great beast's neck as though it were a harmless pet. The Gralthun did not roar. It did not move suddenly. Instead, it turned its head slightly and made a soft rumbling sound, almost like a pleased purr. Everyone in the security team froze. This was supposed to be the most dangerous creature ever captured. Entire armies feared it. Starship commanders told stories about it to remind soldiers of the galaxy's risks. And yet here it was, giving gentle rides to a human toddler who seemed to believe it was a large, friendly animal. The toddler pulled playfully on one of the creature's dorsal spikes. "Go, pony," they said with bright laughter. The Gralthun carefully shifted its weight and took a single slow step forward. The child cheered. Officer Lyra whispered, "Commander, this cannot be real." Vale said nothing. His mind raced. How did the child get out of their locked room? How did the creature find them without harming anyone? And most of all, why was the galaxy's most feared beast acting like a gentle guardian? Before anyone could act, the dome door burst open and a human woman ran inside, fear in her eyes. "My baby! Where?" She froze when she saw the scene. Her child, riding the Gralthun like a small, friendly animal. The creature lowered itself instantly, gently letting the toddler slide down its back. The child ran to their mother with joyful laughter, completely unaware of the danger they had just been in. The mother picked up her child, trembling with relief. The Gralthun lowered its head further, like it was apologizing for worrying her. Commander Vale slowly raised his hand. "Stand down," he said softly. "No sudden moves." No one dared to breathe loudly. The creature remained still, watching the humans with calm golden eyes. Something incredible had happened here, something that defied every known rule of biology, behavior, and logic. And Vale knew this was only the beginning. Commander Vale did not sleep that night. After the strange discovery in the Botanical Dome, he spent hours reviewing every camera feed, every movement record, and every energy reading from the entire station. None of it made sense. The Gralthun, a creature feared throughout the galaxy, had escaped with almost no force, walked through the station without harming anything, and allowed a small human child to ride on its back. Indeed, it behaved as if it wanted to be gentle. Vale replayed the footage again. First, the containment shield flickered weakly, then failed. Next, the creature stepped out calmly, looked down both ends of the corridor, then slowly headed toward the habitat wing. At one point, it even nudged a cleaning bot out of its path so it would not crush it. Every movement seemed careful. "What are you trying to tell us?" Vale whispered to the screen. He rubbed his eyes. The station was safe now. The creature had returned peacefully to a temporary holding field created inside the dome. But the mystery remained, and mysteries often cause trouble. Around dawn, Vale finally stood and walked to the briefing room, where his security team waited with heavy eyes. Officers Lyra, Jiren, and several others sat with tablets full of data. None of them spoke until Vale entered. Lyra was the first to break the silence. "Sir, we checked the habitat logs. The toddler's room was locked the entire time. The child somehow used the emergency crawl vent to leave." Vale sighed. "This is why we tell engineers to double-check their work." "And the parents?" "Deeply embarrassed," Lyra replied, "but grateful their child is safe." Jiren tapped his tablet. "Sir, the bigger question is still the Growlthune. We learned how it escaped." Everyone leaned forward. "The shield failure was not random. Someone tampered with the power input." Vale's eyes narrowed. "Inside job? That's the strange part," Jiren said. "The tampering did not happen from outside. It happened inside the chamber. As if someone or something redirected the power from within the room." Vale felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "The creature learned how the shield works? Possibly. Or it reacted to a weakness in the system." Lyra added, "There is another thing. Energy readings show that the creature left the chamber as soon as the toddler started moving through the crawl vent." Vale froze. "The creature reacted to the child's movement?" he repeated slowly. "Yes, sir." A long silence filled the room. The idea seemed impossible. No one had ever seen the Growlthune show curiosity, much less care, toward another species. "The creature sensed the toddler?" Vale whispered. Jiren nodded. "That's what the data suggests. As soon as the child crawled into the vent, the creature turned in that direction. It stood still for a moment, then pushed open the door, and followed." Vale felt the same confusion he had felt in the dome. Why would the most dangerous creature in the galaxy follow a toddler? He straightened his back. "All right. Today, we find answers. Prepare teams Alpha and Beta. I want to track the creature's behavior since arrival. Everything we have." Hours later, Vale stood with his teams inside the research lab. Holographic screens floated around them, showing the Growlthune's time on the station arrival. Medical scans, feeding, rest cycles. The creature acted exactly as expected until the previous day. One scientist stepped forward. She had been studying the creature for weeks. "Commander, may I show you something?" "Please," Vale said. The scientist tapped a screen. A recording played 3 days before the escape. 2 researchers were in the chamber, placing food inside a secure dispenser. The Growlthune was on the far side, lying quietly. But when one of the researchers accidentally dropped their tool and bent down to pick it up, something surprising happened. The Growlthune lifted its head and watched the movement closely. Its eyes focused not on the food, not on the machinery, but on the bending motion of the scientist's arm. The creature seemed curious. "Another recording," the scientist said, switching to a different camera angle. This one showed a maintenance worker yawning after a long shift. The creature tilted its head and opened its mouth slightly, almost copying the action, before closing it again. "It imitates?" Vale asked. "Sometimes," she replied. "Until recently, we believed it was coincidence. Now, I'm not so sure." Vale crossed his arms. "So the creature has been studying us, watching small motions, learning. And yesterday," the scientist said with a slow nod, It saw the toddler moving through the vent. Perhaps the motion caught its interest. Perhaps something else. But whatever it was, it followed. Vale frowned. Followed. Without harming anyone. It behaved gently, yes, but we have no idea why. Vale let out a long breath. Could the child have something to do with it? Some scent or signal? The scientist shrugged. We cannot rule anything out. Before anyone could respond, the station's speakers crackled. Commander Vale, please report to the Botanical Dome. We have new activity. Vale didn't wait. He ran. When he entered the dome, he stopped in surprise. A maintenance crew was carefully repairing the temporary barrier around the Growlthune, but the creature itself was sitting calmly on the grass. And standing a safe distance away was the toddler again, this time holding a small toy. The child waved at the Growlthune. Hi, friend. The creature shifted its head slightly, its giant eyes watching the toddler with unusual softness. It did not rise. It did not growl. It simply observed. The mother, who stood beside an officer, called out nervously, Sweetheart, come back here, please. The toddler walked back obediently, but not before giving the creature a small smile. The Growlthune lowered its head, as if acknowledging the gesture. Vale approached slowly. Is this allowed? He asked the officer. We did not let the toddler wander. They insisted on greeting the creature. We kept a safe distance and monitored closely. Vale watched the Growlthune for a long moment. Its posture was peaceful, almost respectful. Commander, the child's mother said, turning to him. I don't understand any of this. How could this creature care about my child? Vale softened his voice. We don't know yet, but I promise we will find out. The mother nodded, still confused. The scientist from earlier walked into the dome, carrying a device. Commander, we measured something unusual. What is it? Bio-emotional resonance. Vale blinked. Explain. She pointed toward the creature. Some species form emotional echoes, waves that connect to other living beings. We rarely see it in large predators. But right now, the Growlthune's readings show a stable, gentle resonance pattern. Vale had never heard such a thing. Gentle? From this creature? Yes. And the oddest part. The pattern strengthens slightly whenever the toddler is near. Vale looked at the creature again. It was almost unbelievable. The strongest predator known to the galaxy. Resonating gently because of a child? The scientist continued. It seems to feel calm around the toddler. Maybe even protective. Vale felt his breath catch. Protective. Lyra approached with new data. Sir. More evidence. The creature did not walk randomly yesterday. It followed the toddler's scent trail through the entire habitat wing. The picture was becoming clearer. The Growlthune did not escape to harm. It escaped to find. But why? Vale stepped closer to the barrier. The Growlthune turned its head. Eyes deep and ancient. It watched him quietly. Vale felt no threat. Only intelligence. And something else. A strange awareness. You are not the monster we thought you were, Vale whispered. Later that afternoon, Vale gathered his team again. We must understand this connection, he said. If this creature can bond with a human child, it means everything we believed about it is incomplete. Lyra raised a hand. Sir, do you think the child should meet the creature again? Under strict control, of course. Vale thought for a long moment. Yes, we need to observe them together, carefully, slowly. The mother agreed, only after many reassurances. The toddler, however, needed no convincing. That evening, under soft dome lights, the child approached the Growlthune again. The creature hummed, gentle, low, soothing. The toddler giggled and reached out. The Growlthune lowered its massive head to the ground, letting the child touch its scales. The security team held their breath. No one moved. No one blinked. The most feared creature in the galaxy relaxed under a toddler's small hand. Vale whispered in awe. This changes everything. And he was right. Whatever was happening between them was only the beginning of a much larger mystery, one that the galaxy was not ready for. Commander Vale had seen many strange sights during his years in space security, but none of them stayed in his mind the way this creature and child did. The Gralthuan, a being known for breaking starship armor and shaking mountains with its roar, now rested calmly on the grass like a gentle guardian. And the human Toddler, who should have been terrified, treated the creature as if it were a friendly pet. The dome had become strangely peaceful. Sunlight panels shone warm golden light across the artificial trees. Robotic birds sang in the branches, but the silence among the gathered officers showed how unbelievable the moment truly was. Vale stepped closer to the viewing line where officers stood ready. Emergency shields activated but unused. The creature lay curled around itself, its huge body forming a protective circle. In the open center, the Toddler sat happily, placing small toys on the Gralthuan's thick scales like decorating a large rock. The Toddler giggled. "Look, friend. Toy spaceship." The Gralthuan blinked slowly, watching the small plastic spaceship bounce on its back. It did not react with anger or confusion, just patient curiosity. The creature, once feared, was behaving almost like a gentle teacher. The scientists on duty whispered numbers and readings to each other. Every measurement confused them. The creature's stress levels were lower than ever recorded. Its heartbeat was steady. Its energy output was down to a peaceful hum. According to all data, the Gralthuan felt safe. Vale finally asked, "Has there been any sign of aggression?" The lead scientist shook her head. "None." It even lowered its claws when the Toddler walked near them, as if making space. Vale exhaled slowly. "This behavior is impossible. And yet it is happening right in front of us." He studied the Toddler's mother, who stood beside two officers. Her hands trembled, but she remained calm enough to watch. She whispered to Vale, "I do not understand why my child has no fear." "They have never seen a creature like this," Vale answered. "Children do not always feel fear the same way adults do. Sometimes they trust their heart more than their eyes." The mother nodded slowly. "Is the creature truly dangerous?" Vale hesitated. "It can be. But right now, it seems to be choosing not to be." The mother watched her child gently pat the creature's side. Then, maybe it only needed someone who treated it kindly. Vale admired her courage. Even he, a trained commander, felt nervous being near the giant predator. But the Toddler had approached it without hesitation. And now something rare, a connection had formed. Suddenly, the Gralthuan shifted slightly. Officers raised their shields in panic, but the creature simply adjusted its position to lie flatter on the ground. The Toddler clapped and said, "Down." Vale felt a strange shock. It understood the child. The scientist beside him nodded excitedly. "Commander, that is not random." It responded to the child's word. There may be genuine communication happening. Not spoken language, but emotional or instinctive communication. "Emotional communication," Vale repeated softly. The child then picked up a small blue toy cube and held it up. "Catch." Before anyone could stop them, the Toddler tossed the cube gently toward the creature's face. Vale's heart jumped. The officers lifted their shields, but the Gralthuan simply lifted one large claw and tapped the cube lightly, causing it to bounce back toward the child. The Toddler laughed happily and tossed it again. The creature repeated the gentle tap, returning it with perfect control. The dome filled with quiet amazement. The deadliest creature known to the galaxy was playing. A research assistant whispered, I think it is playing a game." One officer replied quietly, "I thought this thing destroyed 3 battle cruisers in 1 hour." Another officer muttered, "Maybe it was just having a bad day back then." Vale said nothing. His mind was racing. This was not a simple moment. This was a discovery that could change how the entire galaxy understood dangerous species. It was proof that even the most feared beings might have sides no one expected, but something still bothered him. "Why the Toddler?" Vale asked aloud. The scientist stepped forward. "Commander, we analyzed emotional resonance again. The creature forms this gentle pattern only when the Toddler is near. No adult triggers it, no other species triggers it. So the creature chose the child," Vale said. "Or the scientist corrected softly. The child chose the creature. And the creature responded. Vale looked at the toddler. The child had no idea that the galaxy was watching them. To them, this was simply a fun day with a new friend. He looked back at the creature. Its eyes followed the child with unusual focus, as if memorizing every small movement. It was not the blank stare of an animal. It was the look of something learning, understanding. Vale stepped closer and addressed his team. Lower your shields. The officers hesitated. Sir, do it, Vale repeated. If we are to understand this connection, we must stop acting as if danger is guaranteed. Slowly, the officers lowered their shields. The Gralthun did not react. It continued playing the gentle game of tapping the cube back toward the toddler. The scientist whispered to Vale, Commander, this could be the first ever recorded peaceful interaction between a Gralthun and another species. Vale nodded. And we are witnessing it. Just then, one of the dome doors opened, and a small group entered. Among them was Dr. Elira Morgan, a respected human diplomat known for studying species behavior. She approached Vale with a calm smile. I came as soon as I heard, she said. You found something extraordinary. Vale sighed. Extraordinary might not be strong enough. She looked at the creature and the child. The Gralthun is responding to the child's confidence. Humans evolved with many kinds of animals. We learn early that strength does not always mean danger. Toddlers especially see giant creatures as exciting, not frightening. Vale raised an eyebrow. So the child approached it like a big dog? In a sense, Dr. Morgan said with a small laugh. But what matters is how the creature responded. Watch closely. They watched as the toddler leaned gently on the creature's snout. The Gralthun lowered its head, almost bowing. Its massive tail curled protectively around its body, making sure no part of it came too close to the child. Dr. Morgan whispered. See? This creature is not only calm, it is careful. Very careful. Vale looked stunned. Is this affection? Something close to it, she replied. Perhaps trust. Perhaps curiosity. But very much positive. One of the officers approached Vale. Commander, what are your orders? Should we continue observing, or move the creature? Vale watched the toddler laugh as the creature made a deep humming sound that almost resembled a purr. No, Vale said softly. We cannot move it now. The child has created something fragile and important. We will protect this space and watch. He turned to Dr. Morgan. What should we do next? She smiled. Let the connection grow naturally. We should not force anything. The creature must know we respect its comfort. Vale nodded. Agreed. For several minutes, everyone simply observed. The giant predator and the tiny human played together, one slow tap at a time. The child eventually climbed gently onto the creature's forelimb, and the Gralthun carefully lifted its arm slightly so the toddler could sit comfortably. Gasps broke out among the officers, but the creature did nothing threatening. Dr. Morgan whispered, This is not a monster. This is a being with emotions. Vale agreed silently, but he also knew something else. The galaxy would not understand. Many leaders would fear this creature forever because of its history. Many would want it removed or destroyed, no matter what new behavior it showed. This peaceful moment was fragile. Vale turned to his team. We document everything. We gather every detail. This could change science. It could change diplomacy. But we must act with care. The galaxy must see truth, not fear. As the toddler leaned back happily against the creature's warm scales, Vale made a silent promise to himself. He would protect this strange friendship. He would defend the creature's right to be more than its legend. He would protect the child who had shown the galaxy something new, that even the most feared being can show gentleness when given trust. And deep inside the Gralthun's golden eyes, something ancient and quiet stirred. Not rage, not hunger, but recognition. The discovery was no longer just scientific. It was personal for both the creature and the child. And Vale knew. Part of the galaxy had changed forever in that moment. For the next 2 days, the Archon research station lived in a strange state of calm excitement. Officers whispered in hallways. Scientists rushed everywhere with scanners and datapads. Diplomats asked questions politely but repeatedly. Everyone wanted to understand how the most dangerous creature in the galaxy had formed a peaceful bond with a human toddler. Commander Vale hardly left the botanical dome. He stood watch during every observation session, making sure nothing disturbed the creature or the child. He felt responsible not only for the toddler's safety, but also for the creature's well-being, because now he saw the Growlthune differently, not as a monster, but as a misunderstood being with surprising emotions. On the morning of the 3rd day, Dr. Elira Morgan walked into the dome again. She had slept very little but looked calm and ready. "Commander," she said softly, "I think I finally understand what is happening." Vale turned to her immediately. "Tell me everything." She signaled for the nearby officers and scientists to gather. Once everyone was present, she took a slow breath before speaking. "For years," she began, "we believed the Growlthune species was aggressive by nature. All early encounters involved battles or defensive reactions. But what if we misunderstood them from the start?" The team listened closely. Dr. Morgan continued, "I researched old reports from the creature's homeworld. Many facts were left out or forgotten. The Growlthune did not attack other species without reason. Most of their violent encounters happened because explorers entered their nesting areas." Vale's brows furrowed. "Nesting areas?" "Yes," Dr. Morgan said. "Growlthune offspring stay with their parents for several years. During that time, the adults are extremely protective. They react to strangers with defensive force, which made early visitors believe they were attacking." One officer whispered, "So they weren't monsters. They were guardians." Dr. Morgan nodded. "Exactly. They were defending their young." Vale slowly turned to look at the Growlthune, who was sitting quietly on the grass. The toddler climbed around its arms and shoulders like they were exploring a living mountain. The creature gently moved its tail to create a small play space behind it. Dr. Morgan pointed. "Look at how it behaves with the child. Notice the posture, rounded shape, limbs placed carefully, tail curled inward. This is classic protective behavior, not predatory behavior." A wave of realization moved through the room. The creature was not simply calm, it was caring. Vale asked quietly, "Why choose this child? Why not another?" Dr. Morgan smiled softly. "Because human toddlers behave like young creatures, curious, trusting, open-hearted. Many species sense innocence and respond to it. But the Growlthune does more than sense it. It mirrors it." Vale repeated the word. "Mirrors?" "Yes. The Growlthune has a unique emotional ability. It copies the emotional atmosphere around it. If it senses fear, it becomes defensive. If it senses hostility, it becomes dangerous. But if it senses peace," her gaze shifted to the toddler, "it becomes peaceful." Vale let the explanation sink in. "So all along, the Growlthune reacted the way other beings treated it." "Yes," Dr. Morgan said. "And this little child treated it with pure trust. No fear. No aggression. Only simple kindness." The mother, standing nearby, wiped her eyes. "My child didn't do anything special. They only smiled at it. And that," Dr. Morgan replied gently, "was more powerful than any weapon, any shield, or any scientific tool." The Growlthune, hearing the soft voices, turned its head slightly and made a low humming sound. The toddler giggled and hugged its giant snout. The creature closed its eyes, leaning in carefully. Vale watched the moment and felt a deep shift inside himself. The creature's behavior was changing the way he saw danger, protection, and fear. Finally, he asked, "Doctor, what does this mean for the galaxy? What happens next?" Dr. Morgan took a thoughtful breath. "It means we must rethink how we judge entire species. Maybe fear created more danger than truth ever did. Maybe many creatures we labeled as hostile were only reacting to us." Vale felt the truth in her words, but questions still needed answers. "So, what do we do with the Gralthuan?" he asked. Her reply surprised everyone. "We let it stay with the child." Every officer turned toward her, shocked. Dr. Morgan continued calmly. "Only under research supervision, of course. But separating them now would harm both. The creature feels connected. Removing the child suddenly could cause stress. And with its strength, stress is dangerous." The mother hesitated. "Are you saying my child should continue spending time with the Gralthuan?" "Yes," Dr. Morgan said gently. "But only in controlled sessions. You will always be nearby. And the security team will remain watchful." The mother looked at the creature, then at her happy child. After a long moment, she nodded. "If the creature has shown nothing but kindness, then I trust your judgment." Vale added, "And we will make sure every meeting is safe." The decision was made, but the galaxy would need more convincing. 2 days later, Archon Station hosted an emergency council meeting by hologram. Leaders from 10 different species appeared in shimmering images above the central table. Many looked uneasy. Some appeared angry. One council member, a tall reptilian diplomat, spoke sharply. "You expect us to believe that the Gralthuan, known for destroying fleets, is now behaving like a gentle creature?" "Impossible." Dr. Morgan bowed her head respectfully. "Counselor, I understand your doubts. But we have recordings, data, and live observations." Another member barked. "Even if it is calm now, it could become dangerous again. The safety of the galaxy cannot depend on the emotions of a creature." Vale stepped forward. "Counselors, we are not asking you to trust blindly. We are asking you to see the truth. The creature reacts to how others treat it. If we approach with hostility, it becomes hostile. If we approach with care, it becomes peaceful." A third diplomat leaned forward. "You are describing a creature that mirrors emotion. That is rare, but not impossible." Dr. Morgan nodded. "Exactly. And a human toddler formed a connection stronger than anything we ever managed, through fear or force." The diplomats exchanged confused glances. One counselor asked, "What do you plan to do next?" Vale answered, "We want to begin a new research program. One that re-examines dangerous species with empathy. The Gralthuan will be our first partner." A long silence followed. Then, slowly, the reptilian diplomat said, "Show us proof." Vale looked to the scientists. They activated a live broadcast from the botanical dome. The toddler and the Gralthuan were sitting together, side by side. The child drew shapes in the dirt with a small stick. The creature lowered its massive head to watch closely, its eyes bright with interest. When the child drew a simple circle, the creature used the tip of its claw to draw one too larger, shaky, but unmistakable. The diplomats stared, stunned. One whispered, "It is learning." Dr. Morgan said softly, "It is trying." Another diplomat added, "This could change everything." Vale replied firmly, "It already has." After the meeting ended, Vale returned to the dome alone. He found the toddler asleep on a soft blanket, and the Gralthuan curled around them in a protective crescent shape, keeping the child warm with its body heat. The mother sat nearby, watching peacefully. They fell asleep after playing. Vale smiled gently. "They look comfortable, almost like family," she whispered. The Gralthuan opened one eye and looked at Vale calmly, as if recognizing him. There was no hostility, only quiet understanding. Vale spoke softly. "Thank you for keeping the child safe." The creature let out a low, warm hum. As Vale walked away, he realized something important. The galaxy often believed strength meant fear, but perhaps true strength meant gentleness, especially from those capable of great power. This creature, once feared by entire star systems, had chosen to show kindness when given trust. And the toddler, small, fearless, innocent, had unlocked a truth the galaxy had hidden behind fear for centuries. Vale paused by the dome doors and looked back one last time. The light inside glowed softly around the creature and child. "This is not the end," he whispered. "This is only the beginning." Indeed, the galaxy was changing, and the story of the toddler and the Growlthuen would travel far, bringing hope, wonder, and a new understanding of what it meant to be alive among the stars.